trying to sing that high and do all them crazy runs in their 50s. Like, I know some of the people who be critiquing her can't do it. And that's just a fact. I was here for it. I was like, oh, okay, that was different. That was cute. Okay, Mariah. And it's funny because she tells you about the production as it's happening. Like, she was like, you know, at this part, I was supposed to be by the piano, but you know, like, I have to stand over here because the lighting, and you know, if you're a real fan, you know how I am about my lighting. And I'm like, Mariah, you ain't gotta tell us this, but I live for it. A lot of people that got a lot to say about Mariah Carey can't hold a candle to her today. Hello, Divine fam. Hey, sisters out there. How you feeling? How you doing? Let me know in the comments below. It's your girl, Nerese, and we are back with another video. And we are totally in a Mariah season at the House of Divinity, okay? Because we are celebrating the 25th anniversary to the Butterfly album. Yes, I know I have Emancipation back here, but it's my vinyl that I have. So for these visuals, you know, I just wanted to have like a vinyl. I didn't get the Butterfly vinyl yet. So, you know, we got to have some type of Mariah representation happening here. So there it is. If you can tell from the title, in this video we are going to be talking about Mariah Carey's Global Citizens performance. Now, before we even get started, I'm just going to let y'all know, if you don't know, you should know, I am a lamb. So it's not necessarily a critique, it's just like, I don't know, my observation of the performance is totally going to be biased. So I'm just throwing that disclaimer out there now, so y'all know what it is. You know what it is, but y'all know what this is before we even get there. So with that said, we don't even need much of an intro. We could just jump right into this. So first of all, when I first heard about this, I was like, damn, I got work. I would love to see Mariah Carey. But you know, Global Citizens is this, like, I guess, festival of performances that happens like all day for like hours at a time. And I believe it is an initiative to raise awareness. I'm not 100% sure of the cause, but we're gonna put it up here. And you know, they've been raising money for years doing these performances. So Mariah Carey was performing at this performance. So we're going to talk about song from song, and then we're going to go into, like, you know, just like the production of a thing, because, you know, I'm very much a production type of girl. Like the lighting, the dancing, the fits, the, you know, and you know, our girl loves a whole moment about lighting, but her lighting was really good, even though she was kind of coming for them about that, but we'll get into it. But her lighting was good. She looked like a snack up there. She slayed. Like, she looked snatched. So, you know, I understand her concerns, because when you like a particular thing a certain way, you like it that way. And it's hard when you like collaborate with other like organizations or just like, you know, just different companies and stuff like that. And you have to go based on what they have going on. And when you have a system on how you do a thing, and you have, okay, this is my lighting, this is my audio crew, this is what this needs to be, and this is what it's not. And that's how you have your system set up. But when you work with other people, you don't know what the audio is giving, you don't know what kind of cameras they're going to use. One of the shots, a dude like walked into the shot, and it's like, come on, like, y'all supposed to be a little bit more professional than this, you know. And you know, it is what it is. It happens with these type of festivals. But either way, it was a great performance nonetheless. And you know, when you're a Mariah Carey and you have this many years in the game, you figured out your system and what works for you. So even though some people might say she's a diva, whatever the case may be, she has a right to be a diva. And she's literally a daughter of a diva. Like the traditional definition of a diva, for those who don't know, but some of the lambs already know, is a trained opera singer. And she's a daughter of a diva. So of course she's gonna be a diva, you know? And if she wants lighting, it's Mariah motherfucking Carey, okay? She deserves to have great lighting. So, anyway, let's just get into it. So she opens the performance with a mix of Big Energy and Fantasy. And so, you know, the beginning, okay, we'll just do song by song and then just talk about like the flow. So, you know, it was cute. It was upbeat. It was fun, you know, and it was something to kind of get people moving. It's a hit song of hers. It's one of her biggest hits. And you know, of course it was revamped with the remix with Lotto, her song Big Energy. And I noticed the start was very similar to like how she came out at the BET Awards with the high note, you know, and then the beat comes in. And you know, I was like, okay, this is cool. But it was different because she went into the chorus of Big Energy and then went into the first verse of Fantasy, which is on Big Energy too. You know, and then she got her dancers, you know, Tanaka was up there dancing, you know, shout out to him, holding it down. And, you know, there was a choreographed moment and she looked fabulous. Okay, she came out with the gown and the dress and the rhinestones and everything. Like, okay, body was snatched, okay, like hair, everything. She looked amazing. She looked great up there. And, you know, and something that I noticed with like the audio, you know, it sounded like her mic was low. And, you know, and you can kind of hear her singing along with the backtrack. Now, before y'all come for me, because we not doing that here. And, you know, we not having that conversation. But something that I noticed was that later on throughout the performance, you know, you can hear her clearly through her mic. And honestly, like the harder songs, she was singing straight through the mic. So honestly, what I feel like was going on was like, you know, being that it was like a festival performance, where it's multiple artists, you know, and I'm sure they did a sound check, you know, so they kind of know like, all right, when Mariah comes on, this is where her mics and all that stuff need to be. And you can have all of that prepared, but it's different when you are doing it live and then you have an audience and then you hear the screams of the crowd and everything, and you know, and you're already through the motions of hour-long performances, you know what I mean? So say like the mic that you plan to use for Mariah, you know, after doing the sound check, something could have happened to that mic after, you know, I mean, now what I'm thinking, if it's Mariah Carey, she probably has her own microphone, you know what I mean? But like the audio systems and stuff like that, like you have to think about all of these things when it comes to a live performance, you know, and just the equipment that goes into it. Trust me, I know I'll be putting the lives, like the audio and stuff together for my own little performances in my room where I'll be recording the mics and then doing the background vocals and stuff like that. So I can only imagine the work that goes into it when you have a band and you have background singers and then you got dancers and then you have a live audience, you know, and then you have the in-ears, because when you hear it out of the monitors, it's a little bit of a delay versus when you're actually singing it live. So that's why they sing with those in-ears. And that goes into, and you know, that's an important part to note for like her New Year's Eve performance, you know, that people was trying to like comfort her about that, but it's like her in-ears weren't working. So if she were to just sing with what she was hearing around her, it'd have been delayed. So people were trying to like chop her up like, oh, she can't sing, like what was going on, like blah blah blah. But it's like, no, like when you're singing, especially at times like Times Square with all these people and it's cold out, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot that goes into a live performance, especially when it's televised, you know? So there's that. And so I feel like in the beginning of those first few songs, they were still trying to iron out the kinks of getting her audio levels together. But by the time they got to We Belong Together, they had it together. And that was the song where they needed to have it together. Like the first few songs, it was like, you know, it was simple. She wasn't doing like a big vocal moment or anything like that. You know, it was more fun. That's when she had the dancers and everybody out doing the choreography, and it was like, you know, the upbeat songs to kind of get everybody in a like, you know, a cheery mood. You know, it was a great starter. And then, so, you know, that was Fantasy. It was cool. It was fun. It was cute. You know, but I noticed there was like that audio moment. Then she goes into like a very short interlude of Obsessed, with a choreographed moment. Honestly, she didn't really need to add that song in there. That was my only thing. I was like, okay, okay. I was surprised that she even did that song, but then when she cut it off after like 30 seconds, which I get because, you know, it's only a limited amount of time that she can do her performance. So sometimes you can't perform full songs. You have to do like maybe like a 30-second, you know, maybe just the chorus right here. And, you know, for those who are Beehive members as well, y'all know Beyonce does that all the time. Like, especially now with her catalog being as vast as it is, you know, you can't perform the whole song of a song. Like, you know, to get through all of her hits, if, you know, sometimes hits get left out, you know, she'll weave in like a medley of like 30 seconds of this song and this song and this song and put it together, like with Countdown going into Hold Up, you know what I mean? So like she won't perform all of Countdown, but you hear a little bit of that beat and then it goes back to Hold Up, you know what I mean? So stuff like that happens. But I feel like that's kind of what Mariah was trying to do with Obsessed, like, you know, make it into like this upbeat medley moment of like her, like, you know, upbeat bops. And, you know, Obsessed is kind of like a recent hit. So I feel like, okay, if she was trying to incorporate something recent to kind of get people like, you know, dancing, I'm like, she could have did like Touch My Body, you know, because that was a #1 hit, you know. And I think Obsessed might have been too. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to put it here whether it was or not. Because, you know, I like to be on point with my facts if I'm saying it. And if I'm not correct in real time, if I'm saying it, I go back and, you know this corner. So I was like, okay, Obsessed didn't have to be there. But if she were to put a song there, it could have been Touch My Body. I rather would have seen her perform that than Obsessed, but it's fine. And then we go into the Honey Heartbreaker moment. And I really liked that moment, actually. I love that she blended both songs together. And the parts where she was singing Heartbreaker, it was the Honey track in the background. And then when she was singing Honey, it was the Heartbreaker track. So it was a cool mashup of the two songs. It was different. I wasn't expecting it. I feel like it was a creative way to incorporate two hits of hers and put it together and make it new. She might have performed it like that before. I'm not 100% sure, but that was the first time I saw that. So, you know, I was here for it. I was like, oh, okay, that was different. That was cute. Okay, Mariah. Come on, creative director who put that together. And so after this, you know, she goes into like a talking moment and, you know, the piano player is just kind of freestyling and letting her, you know, speak her piece. And, you know, and this is really funny because this is where you really get to see like Mariah Carey's personality, and you really get to see like the best way I described it, and I put it in my notes, is that she's real New York and she's definitely a diva. Like, she's a real New York diva. And it's just like the nuances and just like how she talks and everything. And it's funny because she tells you about the production as it's happening. Like, she was like, you know, at this part I was supposed to be by the piano, but you know, like, I have to stand over here because of the lighting. And you know, if you're a real fan, you know how I am about my lighting. And I'm like, Mariah, you ain't gotta tell us this. But I live for it. I live for it because she's a diva and like she's the queen of shade too. And, you know, and it's funny because like it's her signature thing, but it's like very real. Like it's real. She like, look, I'm supposed to be moved over here. Mind you, she had them like skyscraper heels on, which were cute, you know. And she got this gown on, you know, and trying to walk over with the shoes and the gown. Is like, girl. But I live for it. And you know, she eventually gets to the piano, but then she like slid her way to the other side of the piano. And so, okay, so she was talking about the lighting, right? She had a valid point about the lighting, and not just because she's Mariah Carey and she's extra about her lighting. And me as a visual artist and a lamb, I'm gonna be biased because I'm like, as a visual artist, and you know, if you haven't watched my my all video, my all challenge video, make sure you watch that, because on there I talk about like, you know, trying to set an aesthetic, even though like it's a vocal challenge and it's like, but I'm a visual artist, so it's like I want to have the background and the lighting right and everything, you know, and it's like ain't nobody paying attention to that, but I'm paying attention to that because I'm a visual artist. So I understand where she be coming from, where she be going off about these lightings. And so, you know, but aside from that, but she had a really good point though, because she was like, all right, we did this performance at night. Why am I doing a sound check in the beginning of the day? Because that's a great point, because even for any of the artists, how would you be able to check the lighting and, you know, and if the like the light crew, you know, say if she wanted to do like a whole light show, like say if it was like a Beyonce production, and you know how she is about her production, you know, like if there's specific lights that's supposed to go off and the light's supposed to go with the song and the beat or whatever, you know, how would you test that in the middle of the day where you can't see? Like the best time to really work with lighting is in a blank, like like from a blank slate, basically, like in total darkness, and then you build the lights how you want based on like, okay, this is going to be the key light, this is going to be the room light, we're going to do a little color over here, you know what I'm saying? Like this lamp right here is my, like, I don't know, my attempt at practical lighting in the background. And you know, I have my ring light as my key light right here. Sometimes from time to time I use my Philips light as like a color light. I didn't do that for this video, but whatever. And you know, I have my room light on because you know, I wanted to get some lighting on the hat, you know what I'm saying? So very intentional about these things. You know, when you're a visual artist, you start to learn these things. But anyway, I totally get what she was saying, and it wasn't even about her like being like a diva about it. It's like, no, for a production, especially a live televised production, for anybody's performance, like how would you be able to test the lighting? You know what I'm saying? And say if a light didn't work, you know, how would y'all know in the middle of the day? Anyway, so she mentioned that, which I thought was like so funny because, like, you know, usually when you do a production, those are things that are like behind the scenes that you just try to navigate with and the crowd doesn't know. But Mariah just keeps it real and she says it like it is. She's like, you know, I'm supposed to be standing by the piano right here, but you know, I gotta stand right here because, you know, my lighting, you know. And I feel her. I feel her. And you know, and this was also a moment for her to you know, plug the necklace collection that she was doing. I forget the name of the brand. We're gonna put it up here. In celebration of the Butterfly album with the huge butterfly necklace that she was wearing. So of course I love that she was wearing that because, hello, product placement, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta place your product. How you just, you know, you just gotta, you know, place your product in the midst of the performance, you know what I'm saying? And then you just, you know, plug it just casually as you just, you know, you just casually, divinely plug your products, you know what I'm saying? So I felt her, you know, and even though like how she was explaining it wasn't really all the way clear, but apparently the sales goes to charity, so that's dope. I didn't know that. But the only reason why that stood out to me, one, because I'm an entrepreneur and you know, I got, you know, products to plug, so I knew what it was. But then not only that, but because I'm a lamb and I knew that she came out with this collection, I'm like, oh, okay, that's the necklace that she was talking about. But I feel like if you weren't a lamb or if you didn't know that she came out with a necklace, you wouldn't really know what she was talking about because she didn't really explain it the best way. But you know, she was just trying to run through the things that she needed to say during that part. And then it's funny because in the same breath where she was throwing shade about the lighting, she also like thanked global citizens for the event and, you know, just the initiative that they're doing as well. And that was kind of like her way to plug both, like, you know, the sales for the necklace going to charity, but then also global citizens and, you know, and what they're raising awareness for as well. So I was like, okay, that was cute, even though she like threw shade at them in the same breath, but it all tied together. After this is where she goes into We Belong Together, but it's not just your regular We Belong Together. It's the remix with Jadakiss and Styles P. And you know, it's funny because I'm a hip hop fan, so like I know Jadakiss and Styles P, and it's funny when she like, you know, was calling out the Metallica fans that was in the crowd. That was funny. But you know, when she brought out Jadakiss and Styles P, because one is New York, like hello, like come on, you know, relax, like it's New York. And it was funny because I love them both as rappers, but I don't know, maybe it was me, but Styles P got up on that stage and did not rap one lyric. Hello, Divine Ones. It's your girl Nerese, editor Nerese, but actually on set. I just needed to shoot something real quick because I don't know what video I was watching, but when I rewatched the performance of Mariah Carey at Global Citizens with Jadakiss and Styles P, Styles P was totally rapping, so I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. But then again, like when I first watched the performance, it wasn't all the songs that she performed, and then when I watched it again, there were more songs that she performed. So I don't know. And I was watching like some bootleg version at the beginning because Global Citizens didn't post their version. And then when Global Citizens posted their version, it was just like the full performance. So I had to like zoom all the way, or not zoom, but like, you know, fast forward all the way to where Mariah was performing. And then they posted certain clips of individual songs. So either way, I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I was looking at my phone or something, or I don't know. So that's why I had to like watch it a few times as before when I was taking notes and when I recorded, and then also as I was editing it, just to double check and make sure I was on point with what I was talking about. And good thing I did, because I'll be damned if somebody roasts me in the comments and be like, what you talking about? So you said you was a hip hop head, but you ain't see Styles P rapping? Like, come on. So y'all not gonna come for me, okay? So I double check and I do my research, and you know, and double triple check. And thank God that I did, because I saw that Styles P was actually rapping. So yeah. But it's your girl Nerese. I just had to say that. And you know, I'm on set right now. We got Solange in the background, a little hint to what are the next videos that I'm gonna be posting. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, back to the video. On that stage, I don't know, maybe if he was supposed to be like Jadakiss's like hype man, but Mariah was Jadakiss's hype man doing her little runs like off of his lines. And Jadakiss, he's already proved himself through the years because he's a living legend and icon within hip hop, like OG. But what makes Jadakiss really dope was kind of what you saw in the verses. Like if you hadn't seen the verses with the Locks and Dipset, like I know that's like super hip hop, but I'm a hip hop head too. But you know, he demolished them basically and was like, how do y'all not know y'all raps? You know, like I really do this for real. Like he knew all his raps, like word for word, not just going off the track. Like he knew line for line. And mind you, he has years of songs. Like he has years of a catalog built, and he still knows his lyrics to the T. And you can see that in this performance. Like even though he was out there for like a hot second doing his verse, it wasn't like he was heavily relying on the backtrack or anything like that. Like his mic was on and he knew line for line. And the great thing about that was that Mariah knew his lines too, because even though she does her like runs and ad-libs, but she does her runs like based off of the word that he was saying. So like I was saying, she was basically his hype man for real. And I really don't know what Styles P was doing, but he was like, look, okay, Mariah want us to be here. Mariah want us to be here at the Global Citizens in New York. So we're going to be here in New York, okay? Jada, even if you need me for moral support, we going to be here in New York. And that's what he did. And I was here for it. And I love Styles P. After that, she goes into We Belong Together, the actual song. But I like that she did the version that she recently put out earlier this year for Valentine's Day. The Valentine's Day We Belong Together remixed kind of vibe. And you know, and I think it's a really good rendition of that song. And so this was kind of like the big vocal moment of the night when she sang the climax of We Belong Together at the very end. Now I'm sure, like, yes, it's a little bit different than the original song and all that stuff. Like, I mean, and that was another thing. Usually I cut stuff like this out, but I'm like, this little piece of hers. Okay, I think it's a little Angie up in the video. You know, that was another thing that I kind of wanted to address. So, you know, of course, people be trying to shade my girl. People be trying to shade my girl, and I'm not having it, okay? So somebody was like, you know, oh, she changing the notes and stuff like that. Okay, if you want to complain about changing notes, then you're going to have to complain about every artist in this industry, okay? Like, everybody changes notes. Even my fave, Beyonce, changes notes in the midst of a performance, because let's be real. Yes, granted, she's a strong vocalist and she's strong live. But when she does Halo, she don't always do that basement ass note.
They didn't even make a sound.
Didn't even make a sound. Like, she don't do that note every time. Like, there's many times where she sings that song and she didn't even make a sound. Didn't even make a sound. Like, because who's trying to sing that low live? And the thing is, and it's not that she can't do it, but it's one of those notes where it's like, it's hard to hear live. You got a lot of moving parts with the audio and stuff like that. So yeah, there's certain notes where you like change it up a little bit. Everybody does that. And you know, even vocalists like Patti LaBelle, like, yeah, she can still sing a lot of the songs that she came out with, but she'll even tell you, she's even said that she performs it in a different key. Like, she's at a point in her career where she's lowered the key to her songs. She don't even really know all the lyrics like that. And that's why that whole video.
We're my background singers. Woo! Oh, baby, baby. And there's the wrong words on the cue cards. I don't know the song. This Christmas, I'm going to have them all I can. Because I don't have the right words and I have no background singers.
You know, where my cards at? Where the lyrics? Because she got so many songs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like people be hard on these legends, you know, and she's put her time in. She's an icon. She's a living legend. And she wrote most of these songs, if not all these songs. So she has a right to rewrite these songs how she sees fit and sing them what feels comfortable to her, because Mariah Carey's in her 50s. She's a mother. Okay? She got biddies. Like, and she can still hit her whistle register. So it's like, okay, sure, she might not be doing all the big, like, runs in her, like, high belting register like back in the day. And that's okay, because that's difficult to do. Even then, that was difficult to do. And she has 30 years in the game where she's given her all, no pun intended, but pun intended. And she has many live performances where, in her prime, where she did all those crazy notes, where she sang higher than the studio record. And sure, singing that hard for years and doing world tours around the globe, singing at that level can put a little strain on you. Not a little, but it could put a strain on your voice. And even the best singers, regardless of technique and this and that and whatever, like, your voice changes through the years. Like, even Beyonce, like, she can still sing and still, but I'm like, okay, let's have a moment for a second. B-Day is a vocally challenging album. Even though it's a bunch of upbeat music, she's singing high as hell in that whole album. Like, trying to belt out those songs. I say this all the time on Twitter and just in life, but I still stand on this. Get Me Bodied is not an easy song to sing. Like, she's singing, baby, all I want is to let it go. Like, that's all high, okay? And she's belting that. So, and then you look at Beyonce now, if you listen to the Renaissance album, she's not doing all that heavy belting at the top of her register anymore. Because, like, why? You know what I'm saying? She already put the time in. She's already proved herself. And to this day, people still have the nerve to say that she can't sing. And it's like, it'd be people who can't sing that tell her she can't sing, which is crazy to me. And, you know, but if you listen to the Renaissance album, she's not doing crazy belts like that. And there's songs like Virgo's Groove where she's showing you vocal ability. And she's, you know, doing all these runs in her falsetto high range. But she's not doing, like, crazy belting. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, these vocalists get older. And when you are a professional artist and a trained singer and your vocal cords is your, like, main bread and butter, and you've been putting years of work in, yeah, you're gonna change notes to a song. Who's trying to sing that high and do all them crazy runs in their 50s? Like, I know some of the people who be critiquing her can't do it. And that's just a fact. A lot of people that got a lot to say about Mariah Carey can't do it. Can't hold a candle to her today. And have the nerve to complain why she not singing songs in the same key like from 20 years ago. When vocalists like Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight and Dionne Warwick be lowering their keys too. because they're living legends. And let's be real, when you get to your 50s, 60s, the voice is a little different. You know, so I just had to say that. Because some people be trying it, and they be trying my girl, and we not having that. Okay? So, like, y'all need to sprinkle a lot more respect on her name, because she is the Mariah Carey that wrote hits, 19 #1 hits. And there would be more, but there was times she was blocking her own songs. Like, Shake It Off would have been a #1 if We Belong Together wasn't #1, but it peaked #2. Okay? When her only competition is herself. So, you know, some of y'all youngins, or just people in general that try to come from Mariah Carey, y'all need to have a little bit more respect for the fact that she's a legend and she's put her time in. And not only is she an iconic vocalist, but an iconic songwriter. So all these songs that she was singing, she penned these songs. She did the vocal arrangements. She wrote out the harmonies. And even produced the record and was telling people like, all right, look, this is, can you play the piano like this? All right, and then, you know, fade away like this, but then come back like this. Because she's not just a singer and a songwriter, but a producer as well. So don't do her. Don't do her, because you can't do her. Anyway, you know, I just had to read the girls. Back to this. So on that note, Mariah Carey ate the climax at the end of We Belong Together live with the microphone on. Thank you very much. And so after this, she goes into Hero. And I think this was a nice tribute that she did. And it was a great way to end the performance. And also, Misty Copeland introduced her before her performance. And Mariah Carey did a dedication to women, just because of everything that's been going on with women's rights in this country, and the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and just, you know, these old white men and, you know, the Supreme Court, and just like, you know, making laws on bodies that they have no rights to, and they don't even have. You know, the same bodies that are the literal reason why they even have a life, you know, themselves. But, you know, that's a whole other discussion. But she did Hero in tribute to women. And I loved it. I think she did a great job. And it was beautiful to see. And she said she did it in partnership with Misty Copeland. Maybe she like choreographed it or something like that. Or she was a part of the process of maybe picking the ballerinas. But she had 4 ballerinas dancing to Hero, and it was beautiful. I think it was really nice. And that was another thing on lighting, a note that I made. There was a point where, you know, the dancers started out on the stage, like the far stage, and then, you know, danced their way to the main stage where Mariah was. And by the time they got to where Mariah was, there was a moment where like the lighting just wasn't really giving what was supposed to be gave. And much to Mariah's credit, when she called them out and was like, we should have did a sound check at night if this was what the lighting was gonna be like. But not even just for her, but for the dancers too, because there was a moment where there was no lighting on the dancers, and then, you know, they had to get extra spotlights on the dancers on the side, because of course the main light was on Mariah, because hello, it's Mariah's show. But, you know, that's something that should have been like worked out during a sound check. I don't know if she had the dancers out there rehearsing with her, I'm not sure, but I would assume that they had to, so they kind of understood how far the stage was and how much time they needed to take to get to the main stage and all that stuff. But there was a moment where there was like no lights on the dancers, and I was like, see, and I get it, it's a festival, I understand, like, you know, it's a lot of performances, it's a lot of moving parts, there's probably like a team of people who had to do the lighting for everybody, but like, that's why you do a sound check. That's why you do rehearsals. So you make note of all the little things, and it's like, okay, when Mariah does Hero, there's going to be dancers, so we're going to need the extra spotlights, and this is the point where we're going to need to follow the dancers to the main stage. Like, these are all notes that should have been taken, so when it came to that point, there wouldn't have been a time where there wasn't no lighting. But the dancers were great. They did that. They were beautiful. And you know, I did really like the background screen. The circle screen where like people do like their projections and stuff like that in their images throughout the performances. Like, you know, Mariah had like butterflies and sprinkles and stuff like that on that screen, and I think that was really cool. I did like that aspect of it. And you know, and I don't want to just completely like go in on the global citizen people, because again, like, I understand it takes a lot. If I don't know how they do their hours and stuff like that, so they might have had a team of people who worked the early shift and then worked the later shift, because mind you, this was like, the playback that I saw was like at least 7 hours, and I know they cut out certain things to go to different clips, so I know it was probably longer than that. So I understand it was long hours to cover many performances, and people were probably tired, and accidents happen and mistakes happen and stuff like that. But knowing all of that, knowing that there was going to be hours of performances, that's why if the performances were going to be done at nighttime, the sound check and the rehearsals should have been done at night too, so they had a more accurate understanding of how to prepare for each performance, because they know, all right, it's going to be dark, so we going to need the extra lighting over here and over here, you know, and you know, okay, there's going to be dancers during this segment, so we need to, you know, make sure that, you know, this is, the moving parts are moving how they need to move, you know, to make sure the moving is moving, you know what I mean? So yeah, and I totally get what Mariah was talking about. As an artist, as a creative, as someone that's like, you know, studies the whole art of putting together a production, like, I get where she was coming from, and I don't think she was being, you know, a diva. Now, was it the most appropriate time to say that? Probably not, but it's Mariah Carey. Who gonna check her? You can't check her, you know, but I get where she was coming from, because she was right. It's like, okay, light is completely different at night than it is during the day, you know, and especially if it's televised, it's going to be live, and you know how she is about her lighting. But at the same time, part of me is thinking now that it just came to me, you know, I would think that she would know that her performance was going to be at night, unless there was like a switcheroo at the last minute or something like that, you know, because I'm thinking like, okay, that's something that she should have known around the time of the sound check too. Like, okay, we're going to be doing sound check during this time, so maybe we'll probably be performing at this time. I don't know, maybe she was under the assumption that they were going to be performing earlier. I don't know, but you know, that actually, now that I think about it, I'm like, Mariah, actually, girl, your team, that's something that her team should have knew. Like, okay, are we performing at night, so we need to rehearse at night? Or maybe that was a discussion leading up to that, like, okay, we should rehearse at night, and they were like, no, this is the only time that we can do it. I don't know what could have happened, but either way, you know, it was still a dope performance nonetheless. But I understand the politics of the behind the scenes of, like, you know, getting the production where the production should be. So yeah, you know, that was my 2 cents. Oh yeah, I guess the only thing, just a quick recap. I enjoyed this performance. I think she did a great job. She looked amazing. She sounded great. And, you know, I think the flow of the songs were great. You know, have the upbeat songs in the beginning, have a moment for New York hip hop, you know, bringing out Jadakiss and Styles P, you know, doing the new version of We Belong Together, plugging the necklace, talking about Butterfly, and doing Honey too, because that's on the Butterfly album. And then, you know, and then having it mellow out with We Belong Together. She sounded great singing that song. I love the ending of that. That was like one of the first clips that I saw from the performance, and I was like, yes, girl, yes. And then ending it off with Hero. It was perfect. Very much like how, like, when I Am Sasha Fierce came out and Beyonce would always end with Halo. Like, that was her, like, signature end song every concert for years. That's what Hero was doing. You know, not to always bring up Beyonce, because Beyonce is my girl, you know, but I always think of her because I really be studying, like, how she goes about, you know, performances and productions and stuff like that. And she's also a living legend. Yeah, but I was just, you know, thinking about that. Like, I think the flow of songs was really good. And again, Mariah's been doing this for years, so she knows her stuff. She knows what should start the show and what should end the show. And especially when you do a performance like this, when it's not like a hour, 2 hour long thing. It's a festival. She might have had like maybe 20-30 minutes to perform. And that's why we got like 2 seconds of Obsessed, which I could have did without. But it was fine though. I think overall it was still a great performance. So that's everything that I wanted to say. If you've gotten this far, put some butterflies in the comments to let me know you're a real one, you're a real divine one, and a real lamb if you're a lamb. You know, and if you're a lamb, you could put a lamb in the comments too. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure y'all check out the Divine merch on the website. And check out the website. I just like retweaked it and added a whole new section for my Third Eye Vision projects. So like my visual projects that I've been doing, I have like a whole folder for that, for like my cover videos and stuff like that. The Divine merch campaign, and you know, some older art projects that I've done a while ago. So check that out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share it with your homegirl, your homeboy, your home human, you know, your home everybody. Make sure you share the House of Divinity with your home everybody's. You know what I'm saying? I know it'd be silly sometimes. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Did you watch the performance? What was your favorite song? What did you like about it? What did you like? You know, how'd you feel about this video? Did you, you know, for those who might not be like artists or into like production and stuff like that, like, you know, did that give you some insight on like, you know, moving parts behind the scenes? Like, let me know. Give me your thoughts in the comments, and we can chat about it. It's your girl Nerese, and I am outie.